Yesterday, I went to a furry event with my boyfriend, and I think now I got the ick. I feel bad for that. Before I met him, I had no idea what a furry was. We had been together for 3 whole years, and it wasn't until we moved in together that I discovered one of his furry outfits while helping him unpack his clothes. Initially, I assumed he might have worked in children's shows or sold items in the subway. It's common to see people in costumes selling things where I live. Then, I found a regular foxtail and thought it might be something kinky, but it turned out it wasn't. He got nervous and confessed that he is a furry. I looked at him, completely confused. Like, WTF is a furry? He explained that years ago he created his fursona, and it's a hobby that makes him feel at ease and happy. He admitted he had hidden it from me because he was embarrassed and afraid I might leave him or laugh at him. He's a serious and professional man, not someone you'd expect to dress up like that. I assured him that I wasn't going to leave him and that I loved him. I told him that while knowing my boyfriend wears a fox suit wasn't exactly attractive to me, I still supported his hobby. It did seem weird, but I thought I loved him enough to support him regardless. Since it's just a hobby he indulges in occasionally, it doesn't come up in our day-to-day lives. He made it clear that it's not about being himself. He just enjoys playing the character, and it doesn't hold any deep meaning for him. A year has passed since his confession, and now he's invited me to a furry event for the first time. I've never attended one before, and I still haven't seen him in his suit since he wears it so rarely. Although it's not really my thing, he invited me with such excitement and shyness that I couldn't refuse. Plus, I was curious to see what the experience would be like and to learn more about that world. But when we arrived, it hit me. Oh, this is getting real. I watched him park the car and put on his suit. Since I didn't have a suit, my face was completely visible as we got out of the car a few streets away and walked through the city center. I felt embarrassed, though I know it's awful to say that. First, we met his furry friends who were waiting for him in a park. I discovered that my boyfriend uses a different name when he's in character. They were nice, but it's definitely not an everyday experience to see your boyfriend dressed as a fox, using a pet name, and chatting with others in similar attire. Some of his friends didn't have full suits, just tails or no costumes at all. I felt embarrassed as people walked by, laughing or looking curiously. A few minutes later, we finally arrived at the event. It wasn't a huge crowd, but a sizable group, most of them without full suits, just tails or masks. I know it's wrong to say, but many of the attendees smelled musty, with greasy hair that looked unwashed. It reminded me of an otaku event I went to with my sister years ago, filled with similarly unusual people. I've never been in that kind of environment before. My boyfriend is different. He's attractive, smells good, has a normal life and job. No one would expect him to be a furry, so this was my first time seeing other furries in person besides him. At one point, some attendees began playfully removing each other's tails, while others were busy with choreographies and TikTok videos. Some even enjoyed doing high jumps on all fours, though not my boyfriend. He simply walked around with me, occasionally posing for photos and doing a TikTok with someone else. Imagine watching your boyfriend perform a choreographed routine dressed as a blue fox, asking you to call him by his furry name and pet his head. I experienced it firsthand, and it was impossible for me not to see him differently after that. I didn't feel comfortable being there. It bothered me a lot, especially seeing some people wearing harnesses with their suits. I couldn't understand what's considered sexy about portraying animals like that. Some artists had stands with furry art that was quite explicit, which made me feel even more uncomfortable. Despite them calling it a fursona, I couldn't shake off the feeling of it being strange. Since yesterday, every time I see my boyfriend, I can't help but think of him being part of that environment and dressed in that way. I genuinely love him, but I can't shake this feeling of discomfort, and it's really bothering me. I always wanted to be the supportive girlfriend, but this just feels like too much. I don't want to talk to my boyfriend about it and make him feel ashamed of who he is and what he likes. I don't want to hurt him with my feelings. Despite all this, he's a wonderful man. The only moment I felt tenderness yesterday was when he hugged me and thanked me for supporting him in this. I feel like the worst person in the world right now, and the last thing I want to do is hurt his heart, even if I find his friends a bit weird. I just hope I can get over this icky feeling quickly. He's genuinely happy and keeps showing me pictures from the event, suggesting we go to another one together. But I can't bring myself to tell him that the last thing I want to do is attend another one of those events. I've always supported him, and I didn't feel manipulated into going, as some people suggest in the comments. I genuinely wanted to accompany him because I thought it might be fun, though unfortunately it wasn't. He's not interested in anything sexual. He's made it clear that his fursona is purely performative and doesn't involve any fetishizing. For him, it's akin to someone someone playing a character like Mickey Mouse in a play. He just enjoys embodying his fursona from time to time. We live together and share a computer, so if there were any strange movements or activities, I would definitely notice. He attends these events very occasionally because he's not fond of the more eccentric aspects of the furry community. I know he's not a pervert. My intuition doesn't tell me that. It simply tells me that the atmosphere at that event made me uncomfortable, particularly with the odd smells, and I have no desire to go back.